So, first up tonight is a very nice young lady by the name of Jennifer Miko. She is from Texas, and she had a little experience that she has agreed to talk to us about tonight. So, Jennifer, are you out there?
Yes, I am, Rick. Thank you for letting me be on your show and talk about my experience.
Well, thank you for taking the time out. So many people, have experiences and, they may be a little scared or they may be a little apprehensive about what people will think if they tell their story. I wish they wouldn't be that way because I think we do need to talk about it. So tell us, Jennifer, when and where did this sighting happen for you? If you just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. On July the 30th, I drove to my sister to East Texas, and we decided to spend the day together. And so about, I would say, she lives in Flint, Texas.
Flint?
That's about 12 miles from Tyler, Texas.
Oh, okay. Tyler, Texas. 12 miles from Tyler, Texas. Okay.
That's correct. And she lives just across the street from Palestine Lake.
Palestine
Lake. Which is a very big lake. Very big.
Okay.
So I went to her house and we spent all day together and we decided to go outside for the night. It was a beautiful night, clear night with a little breeze. It wasn't very humid. So we stayed outside. I think it was about 10 o'clock when we went outside. And we stayed on the pool and talked. And so the night went on. And later on, we sit down in our chairs. And we were looking in the night sky. And they have the most beautiful night skies in East Texas because where she lived, there's no city lights, so you can see pretty much the Milky Way. So it's really nice to look at the stars.
Wow.
And,
now, before you go on, did you say when this happened? Because this was somewhat recently, right?
It was on July the 30th of 2011.
Okay, so just a little over a year ago.
Right, but when I saw the UFO, it was already the 31st because it was 2:30 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you were at your sister's house, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, I just want to make sure I understand this. You were at your sister's house, sitting out by the pool, and then did you move away from there? Did you say, or is that where you were sitting when it happened?
No, we were sitting not very far from the pool under a pine tree, and the pine tree was about 20 feet away from me.
Wow. Okay.
And behind the pine tree is the clearing, but all around us are a lot of pine trees. It's a wooden area, if you like.
Right, which is what East Texas is like. It's a lot of trees and it's green and.
That's correct. And my sisters live on 5 lots. I have 2 sisters live next to each other, and there are no neighbors. So it's just basically we totally by ourselves out there.
Wow.
Yes.
So the night goes on, and now I got to ask you this. Were you guys drinking or partying or anything like that? Or were you in your right mind?
No, I was in my right mind. We
Okay.
maybe had a beer or 2. That's about all. And we did not party. My sister's 50 and I'm in my 40s. So we don't party like that anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the night's going on, and you say it's around 2:30 in the morning, and you're sitting there in lawn chairs,
Yes.
and that's when something happened, right?
Yes. But before that, I would
Oh,
like to say, before 2:30 in the morning, we watched a meteor shower, and it was awesome. I mean, it was really nice. That's why we sat out there for so long, because it was such a beautiful night.
oh,
But my sister had a large flashlight, and she was making SOS signs in the sky. I didn't want to let that be left out. So just for fun, we were just goofing around, nothing in particular. She was making an SOS sign in the sky. And I believe it was about 1:30 when we did that. And then at 2:30, it wasn't quite 2:30, it was 2:15. Let's say it was 2:15 is when I looked at the pine tree in front of me. My sister was actually sitting across me, looking at me, and I was looking towards the south sky, towards the pine tree, which that pine tree in particular is about 60 feet tall.
wow.
Yes, 50 to 60 feet tall. And so I was looking, and we had in the clearing next to the pine tree, the horizon is kind of lit up. It's much more like a twilight, if you like. So I could see something coming actually behind the pine tree. I saw it much earlier than when it hovered next to the clearing. But I saw something coming behind the tree, because the pine trees don't have leaves, so you can kind of look through them.
Right.
Yes. So I saw something come behind the tree, and it was a big old black shadow, and so that caught my eye.
Now,
And then
when you say you saw it coming up from behind the pine tree, was it like close behind the pine tree, or was it off in the distance behind the pine
very
tree?
close.
Very
Very
close.
close. Very, very close.
Wow.
Yes, very close. Because the shadow was extreme to the point where I knew it wasn't a bat or a bird. It was a totally extreme shadow. Yes.
Wow.
So I saw something come behind the pine tree, and that caught my eye. And it came around the tree, one of the objects, and it hovered right there next to the pine tree in the clearing. And I couldn't see if it was made out of metal. I don't know what material it's made out, because it was dark, but I could very well see the shape of the object. And it was hovering next to the tree, and my mind was going 100 miles an hour trying to figure out what in the world is this, what I'm looking at. And I looked at it some more, and it looked to me like it was a stingray in the ocean. That's how the shape, I can describe the shape to you. But it definitely did not have any lights whatsoever. There was no sound. I can only remember the sound of crickets. And it hovered there, and I noticed that it was not standing still completely. It would so slightly go up and down, as if it was keeping its balance, if you like.
Right.
And in that moment, it hit me like a brick. I knew for sure that this was a UFO that I'm looking at.
Now,
And it was hovering. I'm sorry?
no, I'm sorry. So when you're seeing this object hovering, it was at the same distance away from you as the pine tree, so fairly close, right? 20, 30 feet, you said?
Yes. Well, originally I said 40 feet,
Oh.
but that's off the ticket because we calculated it again. And I'm not very good with distance, but I was sitting 20 feet away from the pine tree.
Wow.
The pine tree is about 50 to 60 feet. And the object was hovering not the same length with the pine tree, not on top of the pine tree. It was actually 10 to 15 feet lower than the top of the pine tree, if that makes any sense to you.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so maybe 35 feet off the ground.
Right.
Now, did it seem like this thing kind of snuck up on you? Was it like maybe spying on you through the tree and then made itself known, or?
I absolutely feel, and I just know this for sure, that when it was two objects, okay, but I did not take my eye off the first object that came around the tree. Now, in the corner of my eyes, to the left, on top, more behind the tree, I could see another object in the corner of my eyes. But when I saw the first object, I never took my eyes off that object. So, but I know for sure that there was two. But I never ever took my eye off the closer object. And when I saw it come around the tree, it almost looked like they were playing with each other, you could say, because the shadows was like not a smooth motion, more like a up and down motion when it came.
Right.
And then when it came around the tree, hovered next to the tree, and it stopped in dead air, like it was looking at me, like it was noticing us. And so for sure I knew that it was intelligent because it just stopped right there, and it was straight looking at me as much as I was looking at it.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, what was your reaction at that point? Were you petrified? Were you confused? I mean, what was going through your head at that point?
I'm not a very fearful person, and I was not scared at all at first. I was amazed. It was such an amazement to me, and I was keep on looking at the object hovering there, and then I noticed that there was a bluish neon trail of energy, if you will.
Right.
Every time it moved slightly up and down, I saw this bluish neon color of energy in the atmosphere around it, and it was almost like when you throw a rock in a pond, and it makes this ripple effects, which that's exactly how it was. And I know.
Like almost like a plasma, I think they call it.
Yes, you can call. Okay, that's a good word. Yes.
Like a plasma energy. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. And I was just staring at it. It wasn't more than 45 seconds. I don't know exactly how many seconds because time stands still when you see something like this.
Right.
But it was standing there, as hovering there, and I said with a very, very low voice, I told my sister, "Oh my God, Viola," that's her name. And at that time, she turned her head, and the object flew away with speeds I can only call that lightning. Lightning speeds, the way it came, it just flew off just like that. And my sister had the privilege to see the shadow, but that's all she saw. And at that point, I was in shock. I couldn't move. I always carry my camera because I'm a photographer also. Mm. And I always have my camera with me. My camera was with me on my lap. And I did not even think about turning on my camera when I saw this object. Not 1 second passed my mind to turn on my camera. I was just so fascinated to see that the UFO that I'd never even thought about my camera.
That's a very common response that I hear from people that you know, they're in such astonishment that and they're so focused on what they're looking at, nothing even enters their mind. I mean, they're just so fixated on what they're seeing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's how I felt. But I could not move. Literally, my legs, my feet felt like jello. And I usually would run behind a tree and see if I could see it flying off or something like that. But I did not get out of my chair. I could not get up. My sister asked me, what was it? What is it? And I couldn't speak for at least 2 minutes. And it's really not like me to be that,
lost,
to be like that.
Lost for words?
Yes.
You're not usually lost for words, yes.
Yes. And so after, I would say about 2 minutes, I finally got out of the chair. And that's when it hit me like a brick of rocks. I just felt so almost afraid. And I told my sister, we need to go inside right now because I don't know what something like this could do. Right. This was very close to me, you know. I saw a lot of weird lights in the sky before in my life, but, you know, nothing like that. So that was kind of scary. And I told my sister, let's go inside, and we did so. And when we went inside, I looked at the clock, and it was about 2:30 in the morning.
Wow. Well, let me ask you now. You said that the object or the craft resembled a stingray, an ocean stingray type of shape. How big would you guess it was? Wide? Was it, you know, 10 feet wide, 20 feet wide, larger, smaller? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I think it was the size of a small car. That's my conclusion. It was the size of a small two-door car. Wow.
That is just amazing. Totally silent.
Totally silent.
And when your sister turned around to look and it took off, was it silent during that lightning fast takeoff as well?
Absolutely silent.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that this flashlight, because I tell you, I've heard many stories about people, you know, using flashlights or spotlights and you know, shooting them up in the air and doing signals and stuff like that, and something has happened, such as what happened to you. Do you think that had anything to do with your sighting? Or do you think it was a coincidence?
I want to believe that, but the way I saw them come from behind the tree, they were surprised, as you will. The first UFO that hovered, that came around the tree, was pretty much surprised, and it hovered there. So, because they flew pretty in a rapid flight pattern, and then all of a sudden it just stopped in dead air. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I want to believe it, but I don't know. I really believe that I caught it by surprise.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, as I tell everybody I talk to that's had sightings like this, I just think you're very, very lucky to be able to have had such an experience. it doesn't sound like it's affected you negatively in any way.
No.
So that's great. That's a great thing.
I think it affected me positively, Rick, because I'm much more open-minded now, and I don't get mad about small stuff anymore. So it did help me a lot.
Did you say that you did some sketches of what you saw? Or...
Yes. Well, what I did the next day, I took a picture of the tree, the pine tree, and I went home and I sketched the objects on the picture, and just for my purpose, because I didn't want to forget what I saw.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. Good thing to do. Good thing to do. Well, listen again, Jennifer. Thanks so much for taking time out of your night to talk to us. It is a great story. I'm going to look into this Flint, Texas area and see what if there's any other sightings around there. I can look in the MUFON database, as well as you can do that as well.
Yes.
And see if any other reports, either around that time frame or any time, see if anybody else saw it. It'd be very interesting to see. All right. Well, listen, again, thanks, and we'll stay in touch. And if anything else happens to you, let me know. We'll talk again.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome, Jennifer. Very welcome. Have a good evening.
Okay. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Open the door, you'll find the secret. To find the answer is to keep it. You'll believe it when you find something screaming across